second question, the most asked question this week was about property taxes. One was from Lisa Lester on Facebook. Citizens rightfully own property they paid for and should not have to pay the government to keep their property. What can be done to remove property taxes?
Yeah, this is a question that's asked a lot, especially for senior citizens, especially when you have a government walking into your house and saying, I think your house is worth more, so you're going to pay more tax. But here is the issue that I think the people need to understand this issue before you can get to solving this problem. Zero property taxes go to the state. Zero. 2/3 of property taxes go to local school districts. The other 1/3 of property taxes goes to the county, municipalities, parks and rec, and a whole bunch of other local expenditures. The state actually subsidizes property taxes. This homestead exemption, which you've seen 4% versus 6%. That homestead exemption, the way they created it is with the state actually subsidizing it by providing these local school districts with the difference they lose on homestead. So they're just taking it out of one pocket and putting it into another with this exemption. So all of property taxes can only be reformed by attacking this. This local school districts, local municipalities, local cities are just as corrupt. And the spending there is just as out of control as the state's spending. So what do we have to do? What we have to do is not talk about all this BS these politicians talk about. You see, I'm going to cut taxes for someone, property tax for someone 70 or older. I'm going to cut property. They don't know how to do it. They say these things to get elected. You notice they say it right before an election, then you never hear about it, right? And so there's only one solution to property taxes, and that is the Ron DeSantis solution. Now, what is Ron DeSantis doing in Florida? What Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida is he's saying he's going to these local districts, local school district, local municipalities, says, you're going to get your spending under control, and we're going to give this money back in property tax relief. And they say, you can't do that. This is home rule. You can't do that. Really, you can't do that? Okay, no problem. You home rule, but I'm going to cut off state funding. This is the way. This is the hard way. But what does it require? Like we're going to talk about today in almost every aspect of this thing. It requires leadership. It requires someone to lead. It requires a Ron DeSantis. It requires a Glenn Youngkin. What do we have here? We have no leadership. We have an executive branch that's completely missing, a legislative branch that's largely corrupt. And so how are you going to get this type of reform? So it starts at the ballot box. It starts with putting people in office who can lead. And property taxes, you can do all the demagoguery and talk about cutting it, but if you don't know exactly what to do about it, it starts locally. No property tax goes to the state.